Welcome to Save on Plants. Yews are one of my favorite plants for several reasons. First of all, they come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. Some of them only grow 4 or 5 inches tall and are literally a ground carpet cover. Other ones can grow 10 to 15 feet and can be shaped into look like a full-size tree. Some of them have red berries, some of them don't. So there's quite a range of appearances with yews. They also make a richer looking hedge than using cedars. They shape and prune easier than a cedar, and they have a deeper green color than cedars. But the big thing to consider with the yews, as compared to cedars, is the type of soil conditions they prefer. The yews prefer dry conditions. Cedars do not want to be dry, but they also don't want to be very wet. Yews cannot tolerate wet conditions at all. They should never be planted in a low-lying area at the bottom of a swale, down near a downspout from a house, etc. In heavy clay, you will almost never water your yews, literally. During the first year, you may water them a couple times in the summer, and you'll probably never water them again. Now, they will grow well in full sun to full shade, which again distinguishes them from cedars. Cedars cannot grow in full shade, and they prefer mostly sun. At the very least, cedars require a minimum of 4 hours full sun every day, whereas a yew can take full shade or full sun. Yews are a wonderful plant because they have such a range of application. They can be used for hedges or they can be used standalone. They're attractive in either application. For hedging, most people would use hills or hicks if they're looking for height. But if they're looking for a hedge which is lower, say 2 to 3 feet in height, they might look at the dense variety. Here is an example of 6-foot Hicks yews. Hicks yews have a red berry on them, and while pretty full, they're not as full as a Hills yew, which looks exactly the same, except the leafing is a little fuller, and it does not have the red berry, and it grows a little bit slower. Here is an example of a Hills yew. These are 4-foot Hills yew. You'll see they're a little bit fuller than a Hicks yew, and they do not have red berries at any time during the year. Here's a photograph of a dense yew. Dense yew is generally used either as a standalone or for a very low hedge, say for example in that 2-foot, even up to 3-foot range. It does have a wider profile, and it does not have any type of berries. Here is an example of a dense yew hedge. It's approximately 2 to 3 feet tall in this photograph. The next step is to understand the different methods used to cultivate yews. With yews, we always recommend balled and burlapped if they're larger yews. The reason for this is that they are grown in a field in real-world conditions. Full wind, full sun, full heat, full cold. They're hardened up, and they're grown in heavy soil, which forces the root system to work hard to get established. This provides a better system for roots when they transition onto your property, and you can plant them then in any type of soil, whether it's heavy clay or sandy loam soil. They'll adapt very well. The second method that we do recommend is pot grown, and this is what you'll normally see with the smaller size yews. These are grown in a pot from a seedling, and they have well established roots. Now they are easier to handle because the soil is light, and this also allows the root system to spread out quickly, and it gives you a larger plant faster because it's grown in a protective environment in very light soil. While not as good as balled and burlapped, pot grown can be very successful if planted properly. The one method that we do not recommend, whether it's for yews, cedars, or any other plant, is to have the ones that are grown in a field cut quickly and thrown into a plastic or fiber pot and then sold. The reason for this is that the root ball is cut back too far, and then they shake the dirt off of the root system to transport them. The main objective behind all this is to save transportation costs. A balled and burlap plant is extremely heavy and costs a lot of money to move around. So when you can cut the root system off and then shake the dirt off of the roots, what you have is an extremely light plant. A lot of these plants can weigh 90–95% less without that dirt. And this way you can transport a lot of plants at a very low cost. The problem with this again is you've damaged the root systems, and then when they do arrive at the location where they're going to be potted up, they may not get potted up quickly enough. So there's a couple things that work against it with this system, and we have seen through a lot of experience that this is not something that you really want to recommend to your customers. Here's an example of a pot-grown plant with a good root system. Warning: just because it's in a pot, it does not mean it is pot-grown. You need to see the roots wrapping around the outside to confirm that it is pot-grown. Again, this photograph demonstrates the minimal amount of roots you should be seeing on the outside of that root ball. If it is any tighter than this, and even in this particular situation, it is a good idea to scratch up the roots. You can be quite rough with them. You can use a garden claw to scratch them up, a screwdriver. If they're extremely tough and thick, you may have to use a knife, and you can actually cut them right through. It is the best thing for the roots. It's called root pruning, and it will give you a better, stronger plant. You never plant something in the ground that has a tight root system like that without breaking up the roots first. Be sure to watch our other info video on watering and fertilizing for more specific details. Just a point that we want to stress: yews should not sit in water for any long periods of time. They prefer to be on the slightly dry side. So for your typical soil, you'll probably be watering about once a week throughout the summer. If you have very heavy clay, you may actually water even less than once a week during the summer. And this is for the first year. The second year, you'd be cutting that in half. As compared to, say, cedars, you would be watering yews about a third as often as you would be watering your cedars. With our retail pricing, we have a 5-year prorated warranty. In addition, we also provide free or a credit towards our planting package, which includes bone meal. This is a short-term organic root stimulant, and Calphos, which is a long-term, again, organic root stimulant. We also provide cedar mulch. The purpose of the cedar mulch is to reduce the amount of weeds you get around your plant, as well as maintain moisture in the summertime and keep the root system warmer in the wintertime. In addition, aesthetically, it can be very attractively used, and we have it in different colors. An inspection pipe is provided if you are planting hedges. The purpose of the inspection pipe is to help you monitor the amount of moisture in the ground. And finally, we also provide commercial grade time-release fertilizer. This is for the second year application. Now, we're more than happy to share our info files with you. They're available on YouTube, etc., at our website. In addition, you can come in with your own USB transfer stick, and we will transfer the whole library over onto your transfer stick at no charge, of course. And you'll have probably a little higher quality and maybe a little bit easier to view than being on YouTube. So feel free to bring your stick in. If we're delivering to you, we'll bring a USB stick with us, and you can borrow that while we're unloading. You can load it onto your computer. We're always very happy to share whatever information we can give you. From all of us at Save on Plants, we wish you a very happy gardening season. Thank you, and be sure to see the rest of our info videos.